If high blood pressure runs in your family, you've probably been told or just assumed that it's genetics, that there's nothing you can do about it. But here's the problem with that. Genetics only account for about 50% or less of your risk. And after coaching hundreds of clients back to normal numbers, many of which you came to me and told me it runs in the family, I have genetically high blood pressure, I'm gonna walk you through 4 things that will move the needle regardless of your genetic risk. The first one has everything to do with a mineral that almost 50% of the population is deficient in, and it's incredibly hard to test with blood work. And let me give you a quick example. I had a client named Rob. He was a business owner. He had multiple kids. He was traveling all the time. And when he and I started working together, in addition to trying to lose weight, he also told me that he had been dealing with high blood pressure for years. So when we did a lifestyle audit, as I do with all of my clients right off the bat, one of the things I noticed right away is he didn't have many foods in his diet that were high in magnesium. Now, there's a reason magnesium is known as the relaxation mineral. It is key for allowing your blood vessels, among other things, to relax and expand. Without enough of it, your blood vessels end up staying tightly constricted. And you can think of your arteries like a garden hose, and magnesium playing a role in keeping them loose and flexible. If those magnesium levels drop, your vessels start acting more like rigid pipes, which constricts the flow and then drives up blood pressure. Now, here's the problem. If you go to the doctor and get your magnesium levels tested with blood work, oftentimes they look totally normal, and you can still be deficient because your body will take magnesium from other sources to make sure that you have enough in your blood. So it's far more common than people think, and it's one of the reasons many people are unaware that that's a contributing factor to high blood pressure. In addition, processed foods carry almost zero magnesium, and modern farming techniques have depleted soil levels of magnesium, so even unprocessed foods are carrying less of it. It's another reason I see this consistently with clients that feel like they're eating well, but then they're not getting enough of it. The best dietary sources to get it are things like leafy greens, certain nuts and seeds, and even certain legumes like black beans. On the flip side, substances like caffeine from coffee or tea or alcohol are going to deplete levels of magnesium in your body. So this balance is really important to pay attention to. And for many people, one of the easiest options is just to start supplementing. There are tons of forms of magnesium. The one that I recommend to clients is magnesium taurate. It's the same one that I take myself. I'll include a link in the description below. The reason I like magnesium taurate is it gets the magnesium more efficiently into your cardiovascular system as opposed to other forms of magnesium that might not be absorbed as effectively. Oh, and my client Rob, within the first week of us working together, he added magnesium taurate to his routine, and his blood pressure within 90 days was back into a normal range and stayed there consistently. Now, I'm going to come back to magnesium because it's involved in over 300 different enzyme reactions all throughout your body, so it actually plays a role in other things on this list. But for now, let's get to the second. I've seen many of my clients lower their blood pressure to a normal range without having to remove sodium from their diet, instead focusing on how their body processes glucose and other carbohydrates. A prime example of this was my client Matt, who came to me and said, blood pressure runs in my family. My parents had it. My grandparents had it. Within 2.5 months, he had lost over 20 pounds and his blood pressure was in a normal range. And it all had to do with his insulin sensitivity. You see, blood pressure goes hand in hand with your metabolic health in the same way it goes hand in hand with your cardiovascular health. And specifically, if you've become insulin resistant, your insulin stays higher in your blood for longer, and that sends a message to your kidneys to store sodium, which then leads you to retain water, which drives up your blood pressure. Now, insulin is a really important hormone that's released in the body anytime we eat carbohydrates or protein. And its main job is to take the glucose from our bloodstream and get it into cells to use for energy. But if we're consuming too many carbohydrates, our cells eventually say, listen, we don't want any more of this, so they become insulin resistant. Then your body pumps out more insulin, thinking we have to get this glucose into the cells, and it just creates this compounding cycle that's a major contributor to tons of chronic diseases. It's the same reason that high blood pressure consistently shows up alongside weight gain, high triglycerides, and a waistline that keeps creeping up. It's all part of the same metabolic system. And a blood pressure problem is often insulin resistance developing under the surface. Now, the 2 best things for fixing insulin resistance, one's probably obvious. It's reducing dietary carbohydrates. But the other is muscle activation. So muscle acts like a glucose sink. In other words, when you exercise your muscle tissue, it can pull glucose or sugar out of your bloodstream without needing insulin. So you can see how that's a critical component to the equation, because by removing sugar from the bloodstream without needing insulin, you put a lower strain on insulin to begin with. Now, hopefully that all provides a little bit more clarity for you. My job here is to try and simplify science and make it very practical for you to know which lifestyle changes are going to move the needle. So if you like content like this, be sure to subscribe. And if you feel like you're dealing with a nutrient deficiency or insulin resistance and you want to talk about your situation, there's a link in the description where you can grab time on my calendar for a free consultation. Now, the third major contributing factor to high blood pressure is one thing that I constantly see clients overlooking. Now, let me give you an example of a client I'm working with currently. His name is Jeff. And when he and I did his lifestyle audit, one of the things that he was doing that he felt like was a healthy part of his routine was having a big smoothie every morning that was loaded with fruit. Now, this guy, he's a former professional athlete. He exercises regularly. And so naturally, you would assume that that's a very healthy component to your diet. The problem is many fruits are loaded with fructose. And fructose is unique in that it is exclusively metabolized in your liver. And that process of metabolizing fructose has a byproduct that gets released called uric acid. Now, the body deals with this and processes it naturally, but if it gets overloaded, elevated uric acid levels actually prevent the release of nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is a key molecule that tells your blood vessels to widen and relax. So without enough of it, similar to magnesium, your blood vessels stay tight and constricted, and then your blood pressure rises. This is one of the main reasons I tell most of my clients to get their uric acid levels tested if they haven't done so already. Now, the best way to lower your uric acid levels is to be really mindful of dietary inputs of fructose as well as purines. Fructose is often hiding in the healthy fruits as well as salad dressings or condiments or even certain healthy drinks, whereas purines are most commonly found in beer or red meat. So by being really intentional with moderation for some of the foods in these categories, you can lower your uric acid levels, thus increasing nitric oxide and improving blood pressure. Another supplement that I've seen work extremely well to help clients lower their uric acid, and this was actually primarily recommended to some of my clients that had gout, which is what most people associate uric acid with, has been tart cherry extract. So I'll include a link in the description below for a supplement that I personally take to help with sleep, because tart cherry has some natural melatonin, but it also really helps lowering uric acid. Now, the fourth reason on this list has to do with another mineral that contributes to what I call the sodium-potassium balance. High blood pressure is often more of a potassium problem than it is a sodium problem. And let me explain why. Historically, our ancestors ate very high levels of potassium and relatively low levels of sodium. In the modern era, this has completely flipped with processed foods. We get very high levels of sodium and very low levels of potassium. This is the same reason I have told dozens and dozens of clients that they should start eating avocados every day, because they have twice the potassium of a banana with none of the fructose, more of the healthy fibers and healthy fats, and just generally speaking, avocados are a superfood for blood pressure. Now, the reason potassium is so important is that every single one of our cells has pumps on it called sodium-potassium pumps. And these work as a balancing mechanism for managing fluid on the inside and outside of these cells. So without enough potassium, your body retains extra sodium. When you get adequate potassium, it kicks the sodium out. So it actually helps your kidneys flush out the sodium like they're supposed to. It's the same reason that when potassium levels drop, you retain more sodium and then retain more water, and that drives up blood pressure. And now you can probably see how not getting enough magnesium or potassium or dealing with insulin resistance or having high uric acid levels all contribute either directly or indirectly to your body holding on to salt and then driving up your blood pressure. This is the reason that most doctors or medical professionals will default to telling you to cut salt out of your diet. But that doesn't really fix the underlying problem. And here's what you actually need to do to fix the underlying issue. Step 1, restore magnesium. Add more leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, black beans, or other legumes into your diet. Step 2, stabilize your insulin. Cut back on refined carbohydrates, sugary drinks, alcohol, and processed snacks. Step 3 is to cut down on dietary fructose and purines to lower uric acid levels and increase your nitric oxide. Fruits and beer are the biggest offenders. And step 4 is to increase potassium. Add more sweet potatoes, beans, leafy greens, and avocado. This will restore the sodium-potassium balance that your body's expecting. When you start correcting the actual root causes instead of just cutting out salt, your blood pressure becomes significantly easier to manage. So I want to help you break that limiting belief that it's your genetics that are causing the high blood pressure. As I hammer home repeatedly in my book, your genes load the gun, but your lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. If you want to go deeper on this topic, I have a video breaking down the top 10 foods that lower blood pressure naturally, so you can check that out here. Like I said, if you want help with this stuff, you want to talk about your situation, you can book a consultation below. And if you just like learning and seeing simplified science and practical solutions for better health, this is the place to subscribe. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.